Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here. Fitch and I are back. It's Mixed Martial Mindset. It's the eve of the election. I got a ton of stories because, listen, you remember we talked about the pre-bunking thing, the social media hype, the authoritative sources. Well, the great narrative is already in full force. Lawsuits, fake ballots.
Already got everybody prepped that it's going to take days. It could take days or weeks to find the final outcomes of the counting the votes.
On top of that, we actually, so John, I'm glad you said that. We actually have the USA Today fact check on that very thing. Oh, USA Today, wow. Always a very authoritative source. But if you don't know what John's talking about, you can't this is how you know the great narrative is in and the pre-bunking is here. Fact check, Biden encouraged Americans to be patient as ballots are counted in 2022 midterms. I love how they just ease up the language. We know exactly what he was saying.
Yeah, they change it just enough so it's kind of true, but it's not really. It's ridiculous. You post a picture. I get restricted all the time. I'm on restrictions. I'm still on restrictions. Being in timeout box on Instagram. John Fitch Smash. If you guys aren't following me, please go do that because they're killing my channel slowly. But you post something and it's a picture it's a certifiable, it's a real picture, but it's zoomed in a little bit, right? It's a little zoomed in just a little bit compared to the original. So they'll fact check you and say, oh, an independent fact checker said that this picture has been digitally altered. It was zoomed in. That's the only thing that's changed about the picture being digitally altered. It's still the picture that was a picture of what happened. But they're like, oh, well, because you zoomed it in, a little bit. Now it's not something that you can trust, and it's just garbage. They play with words. It's such a gross thing. I'm super hot today because YouTube nuked one of my videos.
Well, can you tell me what the video is?
They nuked a learn to fight video.
It was a learn to fight video, really? Why? Because of the violence in it. Go ahead.
Violence in it.
Interesting. So which
and
which
the thing is, I have other videos that are way more violent than this one was, but this one, for some reason, they nuked. It's crazy to me, absolutely crazy. And I'm doing these things, and like the same video probably exists somewhere on YouTube, just as is. I'm commenting on it, trying to educate people about self-defense and situational awareness and how it's stupid to fight in the street, and you should avoid at all costs. Right? I'm trying to encourage people to stay away from fighting and getting into violent situations out on the street. But for some reason, that's not allowed. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy. It was like two white guys fighting too.
So they couldn't even play the race card on YouTube either?
Yeah, there was absolutely zero reason, because there are other videos. Now, when I watch all the other videos start to get nuked because of them, I may end up learn to fight, maybe migrating 100% to Rockfin. And then I'm going to start looking into the Rumble and another alternative, because I'm up to here with it. Like the restrictions on Instagram. Like, I'm trying to sell products and help people and teach people and book seminars and private lessons through these social media platforms, and them restricting my content here hits me in the pocketbook. This is war, man.
So tell them where they can go right now, John, since this is war. Where can they go right now to find some John Fitch stuff?
Go to johnfitch.net and sign up for the newsletter. And I got the Rockfin. I got a lot of other things going on, but yeah, the website's the best place to find everything.
Yeah, that centralized website. And I'm so lucky now. You can go to redvoicemedia.com/Jason, and it goes right here, folks. Check it out. We've got it. It's Reality Rants with Jason Bermas. The Daily Show is up, so you can either just watch the first hour for free, always linked here. Here's the uncensored second hour for those that are subscribed onto Red Voice Media. Like I said, a lot of other great hosts there, but we're doing it 4 days a week, 2 hours a day. Second half is uncensored. We got Clay Clark coming up on that. We've got Todd McGreevy coming up on that. And we've also got Ian Crossland of the Timcast podcast on Wednesday. So make sure to check that out as well, because we are combating massive censorship. I haven't seen any change in the algorithm so far on Twitter. Have you?
There is a slight uptick on my follows, slight uptick. But I will say that I've noticed people being able to push the edge a little bit more with the rhetoric and being allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. There's been a number of profiles who were banned who are back now. I noticed that also.
Well, you know what?
But
I've seen some of that. Like, for instance, like someone said they were Mike Lindell yesterday. There's no proof that's Mike Lindell. So in other words, when I saw that, I clicked on it, right? Because there was no blue check mark, et cetera, et cetera. They're just, a lot of these are just bot dummy accounts. And you saw what happened to David Icke, right?
was that?
So David Icke,
Yeah, I did.
so David Icke just tried to come back on Twitter. He was immediately endorsed by his son, who now has over 100,000 followers. And maybe there was a small change to the algorithm for sure. But Icke was just banned by all the EU countries, basically 26 European countries, for speaking. This is the lizard guy, John. If you haven't seen, Icke says a lot of truth and always has, and he stuck to his guns. But he was supposed to be speaking at what they were saying was a high-profile conspiracy theory rally, right? That was really just a peace rally by a conspiracist movement, of course, that didn't want the Ukraine war or government overreach on energy prices. So now you're not allowed in 26 countries because you're protesting war and an increase in energy prices. And they're pushing a great narrative, and they're pulling videos selectively, and they got algorithms running everywhere. I saw Jake Shields said...
And I'm telling you, man, these people are in the minority, okay? These tech powers, they have the power to do this, but they do not have the support of most people. I'm living in California. They do not have the support of the majority of people that I come into contact on a daily basis. It's not real. It's all fake. Everything you're seeing on the internet is fake. They're lying to you. They're lying to us. They're giving you this fake narrative, acting all smug and gaslighting you. Like, oh, this is definitely the way things are. No, it's not. It's not. You go outside, you talk to people, you get outside of your home and actually interact with people, you'll see that they think the same way that you and I think, and we're talking. They may not be as vocal about it, but like they're not buying any of this stuff.
Well, that's
they see a fact check, they're laughing at that stuff too.
But I don't know how you get to that point in society where people that know it's, obviously nonsense, and they still go along with it, and they act like it's okay, and they just laugh it off. This is certainly not the time to be laughing these things off, right, John? We're getting fact checks on a zombie puppet that clearly said it might take days to count the votes in.
We're seeing video. You have video of the man doing it. You have video and audio of the man actually saying the words coming out of his mouth. Don't believe your lying eyes.
Or ears, and once again, this guy is clearly not running anything. I'm surprised they haven't made that illegal.
He's just babbling most of the time. Just babbles.
He can't speak. He said for the second time in the last, it's been like maybe 2 months, that his son died in Iraq. His son didn't die in Iraq. And there's some movement on this Biden case. Maybe we'll be able to get into it later in the broadcast from the DOJ. But I just want to say this. The FBI and the DOJ are 100% not to be trusted. Let me say that again. 100% not to be trusted. In fact, I don't really have many videos queued up. I have one. And I was going to play at some point today, it's like 5 or 6 minutes long, the intro to Loose Change Final Cut. So you can get a look at Robert Mueller, and you can get a look at the Justice Department. You get a look at the FBI and what they really did. All right? Just in that first 5 minutes, just realize these people are gangsters. They are the minions of high-level criminals, John. All right.
100%. It's they replaced the mafia. They are the mafia.
They're the real mob, right? They're the mob that runs, the petty crimes. It's so funny. So last night, I get up at 5 in the morning now, John. That's 2 a.m. your time. I'm finally doing it. We're hulking it up.
I sleep in on the weekends. It's to 7. 7:30. That's just, I don't like it, but that's just life now. With the kids, like that's one of those things. That one of the adjustments I had to make is like if I wanted to get certain things done or I wanted to get the right start in the morning, I had to get up. So like when I have the boys, I'm up at 5:30. When I don't have the boys, I'm still up around 6.
Yeah, you're an animal. You're a beast. But then again, I've always said, if someone's going to pay me to do something, if there's going to be a job involved, I have no problem getting up in the morning. You know what I mean? It's not like, if you watch the shows, it's not like I'm groggy-eyed. I get up 2 hours before the show so I can get everything going, make sure everything's there, and we have a show. You know what I mean? I have to know what I'm talking about. So anyway, we're getting all that done really, really early. And you just kind of see that, I mean, this narrative runs all day and all night. I'm watching El Chapo last night. El Chapo on MSNBC. It's late night. And they got the dude, and they got El Chapo, and they got all the burner phones. And you just realize, they ask him at one point, they're like, did you have all of their messages? And he's like, yes, we read every single one of their messages. And the way they would do it is, you'd think you have these burner phones and you have some sort of anonymity, right? But he was pretty open with the fact that because they don't all buy and drop their burner phones at similar times and there's overlap, they make these communications with one another. So they figure out one of the burner phones at some point, and then they're all pretty open about how they communicate, either by code word, name, or regular name, right? Their aliases. And then they know that that phone is totally associated with that person. They geolocate everything. Everything. It is going to be extremely hard to be anonymous in this track, trace, database, social credit score society where they gaslight you everywhere. So let's just go over some of the headlines that are... These are today. Okay, everybody? A lot of these are in the last several hours, just to give everybody an idea. I didn't just say ballot boxers or whatever in the thing. The ballot boxing begins. Here it goes. Are we ready? Republicans are already suing to get midterm ballots thrown out in key states. So again, they're trying to keep the mail-in ballots, the illegitimate ones, out. This is Vanity Fair. You see this great narrative. Allegheny County workers warn 1,000 mail-in ballots at risk of not being counted. This is today. They're already throwing this out there, guys. This is Allegheny County. This is Pennsylvania. We're going to get to another Pennsylvania.
It's all just prepping so that they can extend the amount of time they're counting. Oh, we're still counting it, and they can just load more ballots in and keep using dead people's votes.
Again, well, we're going to pre-bunk
Didn't
that.
somebody recently had somebody from Iran? Wasn't he showing how to use online things to cast remote ballots?
I haven't seen anything on it. Maybe that's the case. I'm always really hesitant because I've seen some people show some sketchy video or tell people they couldn't vote a certain way or they were in the wrong precinct when they were in the right precinct. Not enough context yet. I guarantee you, John, after today, there is just going to be, tomorrow, I guess, starting tomorrow, I guarantee we're going to see some of the wildest stuff we've ever seen in state and midterm elections ever. And they're going to be immediately uploaded. And there's going to be a ton of disinformation in there. In other words, there's going to be clips from 2 years ago, 4 years ago. There's going to be there's going to be purposeful.
Anything to throw you off the smell of the real steel.
It's exactly. So let's keep going down the line. We're far from over. ACLU sues Georgia over 1,000 unsent absentee ballots. So again, they always are talking about this bigotry. And I'm not saying that it's not both sides that cheat. I don't like the Republicans, guys. I'm not a conservative by any means. But at the same time, first of all, there's a lot of Republican. Look what they did to Ron Paul. Okay. And look what they've done to those type of candidates in the past. But they're trying to legitimize the mail-in ballots. They're trying to make absentee ballots normal, not the normal absentee system. See, they're playing word games here, by the way, guys. Because if you went in and you requested a real absentee ballot with your ID and you went through the process, usually at a post office, it's one of the most secure ways to vote. That's not what they're talking about here. Lawsuit seeks to block counting of military ballots in Wisconsin. So I thought that this one was really bizarre because it's the Washington Post, and it's again being framed as like a Republican conspiracy. Don't most military people vote conservative and Republican? Or is that over now after all the mandates and the wokeness and the high heels? All right? That one confused the hell out of me. I think, again, they're further confusing the system. Look, think about how many states we just talked about right there. I'm not even done. I got way more. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. I didn't even talk about Michigan. We're talking Georgia. Let's go back for a moment. Let's go back into it, guys. Here's the fact check that we were talking about with Biden. Biden encouraged. Let's just play what he said. Okay. Again, don't believe your lion eyes and ears, everybody. The USA Today fact checked it.
We know democracy is at risk. We also know this. It's within our power, each and every one of us, to preserve our democracy. And I believe we will. As I stand here today, there are candidates running for every level of office in America, for governor, Congress, Attorney General, Secretary of State, who won't commit. They will not commit to accepting the results of elections that they're running in. This is a path to chaos in America.
You mean like Russian collusion?
I mean, so far, I haven't even seen them play the clip where he actually says it. So they're playing you an edited clip, and they're not even playing the portion where he says that it might take days. Let's say maybe he says it at the end here.
It's unlawful, and it's un-American.
What was unlawful? No, they don't even play it. They don't even play it.
They cut it out altogether.
Like, who's really deceptive? Who's the deceptive one? They run the headline, right, where they talk about patience when he says it could take several days in some cases for some of these elections. I'm not even done. We didn't even get.
Shouldn't what other election in the world takes days to count the votes? Why is everybody better at counting the votes than America?
Because we've become like the total celebritard, beholden society where social media and a ring light makes you important, John. That's why. I mean, it's really bad. More people are literally concerned with how many likes they're going to get on their Instagram post than this election. But then they're going to come at you with some social justice warrior outrage if you dare to state an obvious fact against some opinion that's been throttled out them through Bernaysian talking points again and again and again.
They don't want to think for themselves. They want somebody else to think for them.
It's crazy. Here we go. Multiple Tennessee counties already. This is now. All right, so watch how quickly this one escalates, guys. This is like 2 o'clock. We're going to see what they say at like 3 o'clock. Multiple Tennessee counties reporting issues with ballots tied to congressional races. You read it, and they're being voted in the wrong districts. And in this one, I think it said something like 10 unless they updated it. Yes. So this one right here, a Benton County election official told the Associated Press some voters, likely fewer than 10, had been assigned to the wrong districts. You ready? 400. Oh, wait, no, that's up. Sorry. Here we go. There it is right here. 430 in Nashville alone. This is now. This is happening now, everybody. Let me repeat this. This is happening now. More than 430. And then you got Philly Mag here. This is going to be some crescendo action. If you voted by mail, stop whatever you're doing and check these lists. So these are pro-Fetterman guys. John Fetterman is a wah-wah man. Wait.
This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be a poo-poo and everything, but these are your choices. This is fully sums up where we're at in America right now. Your choices in Pennsylvania are John Fetterman, who clearly has mental problems. He has a mental disability. He's not all there. Okay. He can't think for himself. He has trouble speaking. He has trouble hearing. I don't know cognitively how he's even walking. And his opponent is a sellout, company man, rhino. And these are your choices. And I'm sorry, but you get out and vote, get out and vote. Why? Why? You've got the left who's evil, and then you have the Republicans on the right. Conservatives are fake conservatives. They haven't conserved a damn thing my entire lifetime. So you have evil and evil light, basically. Those are your choices. They're both running the country into the gutter. Ain't nobody got an idea or plans to fix anything. Everything's more and more big government, bigger government, expand, spend, tax. Nobody's got an answer. Nobody's saying anything that makes any sense. These conservatives are supposed to be cutting programs, cutting the government, making the government smaller. Government is evil. It's always been evil. That's why we have a Constitution. Our forefathers were smart enough to understand that a monopoly is evil, that centralized power is evil, that if you have centralized power in a government, it's evil, and it will only result in the subjugation of its people and the murder of its people. So we have that document to protect us. It's supposed to be a firewall against the people versus the government. But that document doesn't mean anything today. We don't have freedom of speech. Second Amendment has been trounced. Fourth Amendment's completely gone. So what are you voting for? I'm almost like just pull out. Let the Dems run it into the dirt. Let them crash and burn everything so we can rebuild. It's all I don't know, man. I feel like it's a sinking ship. We're on the Titanic. The damage is done. Like, get your family around you, circle the wagons, protect yourself, and ride out the storm for the time being. I would love for somebody to convince me otherwise.
My big issue, and this is kind of going to go along with you, is obviously I don't think a red wave saves us. There's no infrastructure.
You're not voting yourself out of this. Name one politician who's actually saying the things that's going to get anything done.
Well, I'd say
not one of them's gonna reduce the size of government. Not one of them's gonna cut the programs we need to cut.
I like Rand. You know, Rand Paul's about the best you got. Tom Massey's another one. Ron Johnson's okay on domestic. He's terrible on foreign. He's another one of these guys that wants to help start World War III. But to kind of speak to the fact that a lot of these guys are in the pockets of this game, obviously, even with a red wave. And again, our voting infrastructure hasn't been fixed. If you just noticed, I just read you how many headlines. Those are all from today. Let me repeat that. Those are all from today. Okay.
You can't have, there can't be computers. You can't have computers involved, period. They're not secure. There's nothing that shows that computer voting in any way is trustworthy. Everything has to be in person with an ID on a written ballot. That's it. There's no other way. If it's not done that way, it's not real. It's easily manipulated, easily faked.
And at the same time, these people are in many cases bought off by both sides, right? So here is a list, John, of Republicans in the elections right now: Vernon Buchanan, Dan Crenshaw, Mitt Romney, Marco Rubio, a lot of big names, but a lot of smaller ones: Brian Fitzpatrick, Dan Newhouse, Mike Crapo, all taking that sweet, sweet Gates money. That's a list of people taking that sweet, sweet Gates money in Florida, in Texas, in New York, in Tennessee, in Idaho, Louisiana, North Dakota. There's nowhere you can be where these billionaires haven't slid that cheese into the pockets of these people that sit there and tell you how great they're going to be for you and how great they're going to be for this country and this state, and we're going to fight those bastards in Washington. How often do you really see it? How often do you, I want to say, I want to believe that Blake Masters kid that they're pumping on Tucker Carlson, the skinny kid that's running against the astronaut, Mark Kelly, who's clearly a liar, like a born and bred NASA liar. Folks, Mark Kelly is a terrible person. You don't want him in there. I promise you that. But Blake Masters, it got posted. I'd never seen it, and this kind of made me a little soft on Blake. Like, I want to believe he's the real deal. Posted a picture of him and Ron Paul, and the picture was taken at a place called Jekyll Island. And for those that don't know, Jekyll Island is where a bunch of these bankers and elitists got together and figured out, hey, this is how we're going to make the Federal Reserve. And G. Edward Griffin at the time, he's 91 now. This is back in probably like 2010. So he was still 80 years old. I mean, the man's an animal. Was putting together these conferences at Jekyll Island where people like Ron Paul and others were speaking out against the Federal Reserve System. So that tells me Blake Masters, not only libertarian in mindset, not only small government in mindset, but gets the intricacies of the banking systems that control the vast majority of us. Because, again, remember, in the beginning of this pandemic, John and I were discussing, well, what happens to the economy? I mean, we were at a time in March, guys, where the stock market was just crashing and they were stopping trades.
Pumping for a while too. Remember when it was pumping? Everything shut down. Nobody's working.
Well, they did that first.
But somehow the stocks were going crazy.
So again, they started closing everything down, not letting doing things behind closed doors. And then, like John said, within a month or two, it was pumped up to record levels. So it was crashing, They were stopping trade, unprecedented, having backdoor calls that none of us are privy to.
There's evidence showing massive sells too. A lot of people were selling. The government people were selling a lot of their stocks right before they started doing the lockdowns. They knew.
Of course, there was insider trading going on. So that's not a legitimate system. That's part of the public-private partnership that's promoted by the Davos crowd. Again, we talked about YouTube in the very beginning of this. It's a private company. It can do what it wants. It's not profitable. YouTube doesn't make any money. Like, when was the last time you had a megalith monopoly type company that doesn't make any money? It's a Trojan horse civilian system. It's there to control the narrative on behalf of this globalist agenda, period. And then say, we're policing it with the authoritativeness. And that's why they also took on...
I have a number of other creators that I work with who will show you their whatever, their numbers.
Their metrics.
So they put up their metrics. Yeah, they put up a good video and it shoots up and they do awesome in the first hour. But then as soon as they hit that first hour, like what they said doesn't fit the narrative. So boom, all their views get cut. So every single one of them that shoots up and then plateaus. No matter how popular, no matter how exciting or important the video is or how truthful it is, if it's saying the wrong thing, they put a muzzle on you.
And, you know, that's just the soft censorship. I do want to show everybody, again, just think about this. This are from, like, we're going to go all the way back to, I think, June, when they started talking about inoculating you, John. Remember that? They're going to inoculate you with pre-bunking. So this is just from like a week ago, because, again, the narrative today is already about all the ballots, but the narrative a week and a half ago is false information is everywhere. Pre-bunking tries to head it off early. Oh, the pre-bunkers are here. That's great. Pre-bunking, disinformation, and a Los Angeles election preview. So already they're telling you, get out the pre-bunks, guys. We're in for a wild ride in California and in LA. This is GPB, again, a partner of PBS, NPR, same group, same, like within the same day. You can see they parroted the same thing over and over and over again. False information is everywhere. Pre-bunking, heading it off early.
It's coming from our mainstream media. It's coming from our social platforms.
So here it is, a guide to pre-bunking, a promising way to inoculate against misinformation. Oh, lovely. Prevention, not a cure, may be a more effective way to combat misinformation. You notice they make the two people who are masked up on their phone looking for information look like they're inside of a virus almost, right? They got the circle, they got the little things coming off of it, because this is to inoculate you. As they state their careers, doctors swear to uphold the Hippocratic Oath if people tackling misinformation.
Bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're the best. Listen, man, they're the new high priest.
What happened the last 2 years? People still believe in that crap? People still think Hippocratic Oath means a damn thing? No, it's the pharmaceutical oath.
Yeah. Well, you know what? With that being said, John, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to play 5 minutes of loose change. Like I said, the first 5 minutes of loose change. And then we're going to go over to the uncensored portion of the broadcast so we can talk about that pharmaceutical tyranny in a larger perspective, because we obviously can't do that on YouTube. So, folks, if you had any reason to think that you should be trusting your government, I assure you, you should not. I know that I got a lot of viewers that still haven't looked into 9/11, haven't seen this film. I'm very proud of it. We're really just going to show you up until the end of the beginning credits. But your buddy Robert Mueller's going to be in there when he just took over the FBI right after 9/11. You're going to see somebody who actually gave a damn and was trying to stop this prior working in the FBI, crying his little eyes out, saying he's sorry because he wasn't allowed to do his job. So with that being said, let's take 5 minutes. And then after this, guys, we're going to go over to Rumble, Rockfin, and I'm on Twitter as well specifically. Rumble's free. Rockfin supports me if you're a premium member. We really appreciate that. I just got some Ray tokens sent over to the phone. I wouldn't be able to do it without that as well. It's Ray time, baby.
I finally passed 12,000 followers or subscribers on Rockfin. Doing great.
So, yeah, you got to get over there. You got to follow Fitch as well. But here we go. This is Loose Change Final Cut. And remember, all this stuff's free, guys, and down in the links below.
Show me the On September 11th, 2006, thousands from all over the world gathered in New York City, New York. They wore black shirts, reading Investigate 9/11, and held banners that read, "Ask questions, demand answers." This day marked the 5th anniversary of the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. Although the 9/11 Commission report had been published over 2 years prior, many Americans and citizens worldwide remained convinced that the truth was being withheld from the public. Why? Why was a growing percentage of the world population becoming increasingly skeptical of the events of September 11th? Was it a natural inclination towards believing the worst about the United States government? Or was it a legitimate concern that only grew more powerful with time? The 9/11 Truth Movement includes academics, engineers, physicists, firefighters, intelligence officials, and some of the very people whose lives have been shattered since September 11th. Were they all delirious?
You should not be here. No, you've got it all wrong. We're honoring the fallen heroes from 9/11.
As are we.
No, you're not. No, you are not.
I feel so uncomfortable.
I'm sorry.
That next year, I'm not coming here.
Or were they a concerned group of individuals taking the necessary steps to prevent the United States from slipping into its darkest era yet? Was September 11th a surprise attack on America by 19 Islamic terrorists? Or something else entirely?
George Bush has spent an uncomfortable day with his people trying to explain away why he failed to pass on warnings the White House had received before September the 11th that terrorists were planning to hijack American aircraft. What happened that day has cast a shadow over just about every area of American life. Now one of the country's best-known journalists has said that the American response to the so-called war on terrorism has created a climate of effective censorship in a land claiming to be the home of free speech.
There's never been an American war, small or large, in which access has been so limited as this one. The belief runs so strong in both the political and military leadership that those who control the images will control public opinion.
Does it suggest that there was somebody on the inside? He kind of compared it to the Godfather story, you know, where the gun was placed in the men's room.
There is also a possibility this could be some kind of inside job.
May it have been an inside job? Might these people have gotten help from the inside?
I was speculating about that along with others early this morning, but now there's a lot more evidence that suggests it's almost certainly the case.
It's an obscene comparison. I'm not sure I like it, but there was a time in South Africa that people would put flaming tires around people's necks if they dissented. The fear is that you'll be necklaced here. You'll have a flaming tire of lack of patriotism put around your neck. Now, it's that fear that keeps journalists from asking the toughest of the tough questions and to continue to bore in on the tough questions so often.
People let us stay out of our business.
A country that hides something is a country that is afraid of getting caught.
And in particular, this Bush administration, who is as tight with Saudi Arabia as you can get. The president's father used to stay with the bin Laden family when he would go to Saudi Arabia.
In the past, though, the FBI has sometimes made problems worse by ignoring or denying them.
FBI management intentionally and repeatedly thwarted and obstructed my attempts to launch a more comprehensive investigation to identify and to neutralize terrorists. To the families and victims, of September 11th. On behalf of John Vincent, Barry Carmody, and myself, we're sorry.
And, I want to say quietly, but as forcefully as I can, that I hope this doesn't go any further. It's gone too far already. I am appalled by it.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it went way further. Think about what was just said there. That was Dan Rather. Limited information, that's nothing. Limited access, that's nothing to what we got. Especially now. That film's over a decade old. That's 15 years old. You can watch it for free along with the rest of my documentaries. JohnFitch.net. We're going over to Rumble, Rockfin, and